Hi, everybody. This is Carrie Hamblin, the CEO and president of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce, coming to you again with another Zoom chat with one of our members and one of our newest members, the New Mexico Solar Group. Today, we have with us Tim Benavides, who is the Las Cruces commercial sales consultant, and Nick Kadlec, who is the CEO of the New Mexico Solar Group. Gentlemen, it is so great to see you. Tim, I've been able to see you person and face to face, but Nick, we still have to get you down here from your home office in Albuquerque, but how lovely to have a conversation with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You know, when Tim first approached me about New Mexico Solar Group, I have to admit, I hadn't heard about you before. So can you tell me about the business, about the organization? Well, you're a business, and how you started, because you've grown quite quickly in a short period of time, and you've got offices in, I think, 5 locations across the state. So Nick, can you kind of tell me about New Mexico Solar Group?
Yeah, definitely. So you're right, and we have grown pretty fast. We were founded in 2015. The normal way that a lot of startups start, right? Just 2 people. It was our owner and our owner, whose name is Ryan Wallace, and an electrician, Schmutz, working out of a garage, at his sister's house. He'd worked for a couple solar companies, felt he had a better way of doing it, and so they partnered up, and within about a year and a half, got pretty well established. It's pretty tough to break into the solar market back then, and got established. And within about a year, 2 years actually, so 2017, summer of 2017, went down into the southern New Mexico market. Got a building down in Alamogordo first, where they serviced Las Cruces out of that building, and pretty much anywhere around. One of the things about our company, we have a few things that set us apart. We are employee owned, so after 3 years, Ryan chose to sell the company to its employees that had helped him build it, which is an amazing gift to all the employees. And so we're actually 100% employee owned. That's that little badge there on our shoulder say. And so that was an amazing opportunity for all of us. And I think that really helped accelerate our growth. Expanding markets. We went to El Paso as well about a year after that, but also just the employee ownership mentality. Every employee knowing that what they do eventually comes back to them. They own 100% own the company together, has really helped accelerate our growth. And so in 6 years, we've gone from just Albuquerque area to pretty much anywhere in New Mexico where solar is viable economically. Where
most
of New Mexico, right?
Yeah, which is fantastic.
So, and we're incredibly blessed.
And, you know, one of the things that I think is really interesting, and maybe you're noticing this too, both Tim and Nick, is that people more and more are starting to support businesses who have shared values. And so when you say you're 100% employee owned, that really is an indicator for people of that money isn't going out of state, which is a big deal.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that was a big thing for me about solar was the environmental part. That's the first part that drew me to solar. When I first looked into solar, and this is about 10 years ago, it was still actually more expensive to go solar than stay with the power company. Within about 2 years after that, and I got solar about 8 years ago, it was actually, you saved money by going solar and you were saving the environment. And that got me really excited, not only for my own family budget, but the fact that you could have this product, this environmentally conscious product that helped save people money and put basically money into people's pocketbooks. And so that, to me, is an amazing revolutionary product in that most of the time, if you do the environmentally conscious thing, it costs more. You have to, it's a sacrifice, right? But it was something that helped people and with their bottom line and their family budget or business budget. And it also is better for the environment. So it just became a no-brainer for me personally. And then I wouldn't stop talking about it. So I started selling it. and then of course, Ryan I joined the company after about a year after Ryan had started it. I joined in 2017. It's about a year and a half. And that's been a huge part of spreading it. So the shared values, the benefits to the environment and the benefits to the people. And that's another big part of what we're committed to. The employee ownership helps our employees significantly, and we pay really good wages. The employee benefits on top of that, they don't have to pay anything into it. It's basically retirement accounts that that don't come out of your paycheck. It's just over and above what you make on your paycheck. But the fact that we help the family save money, and one of our ways that we've expanded is instead of just sticking to the major markets, instead of just like Albuquerque or Las Cruces, we'll go into what we call underserved communities, where a lot of the national companies and even some of the local companies stay away from because it's too far or they won't make as much, whatever it is. But we'll make a smaller profit margin to help more people go solar. And it can be a little more difficult. It can be a little more time consuming. The profit margin might be lower, but we look for options to help as many people as we can go solar, whether it's the type of solar, like including ground mounts after about a year, going into more remote areas. We just want to help bring it to everyone because it just has such a great benefit to the environment and the people who get it. So.
Absolutely. Well, every time I mow the small patch of grass in my backyard with my electric mower, I'm like, it's powered by the sun because we have solar panels as well.
That's awesome.
And during the pandemic, we were talking about this before we started recording. How did that affect you? You had some sales folks who still had to go out, but then also did virtual. Found some people that were like much more productive at home than they were in the office. Other people who needed to go to the office. So how did that impact you as a business? During this time, and as we're slowly kind of trying to find our new normal, how are you seeing that change?
So we were really uncertain about how it would affect us at first. We did see a drop in sales that first spring for about a month, maybe a month and a half, 2 months. And we were concerned we might have to shut down operations, and that would have been just disastrous for us. Luckily, we were deemed an essential business. We were allowed to continue to do our operations. We did switch and pivot to sales, to virtual sales. Tim at the time was a residential salesperson, so he got to do that switch to resident or to doing virtual sales. So I'll let him speak to that. It was an adjustment for a lot of our sales reps, but they really took it in stride. And we actually ended up seeing a bump in our business. I think what a lot of home improvement areas saw was, people were home. For us in particular, people were home having higher electric bills. They were home thinking of ways to improve their home, and we benefited from that. We also, because we weren't sure what was going to happen, we started putting more money into marketing. And so turned out we probably didn't need that. So we got a little more of a bump than we probably needed, but it was great. I mean, we feel really, really fortunate that we did pretty well. We have done, well so far, and we're still impacted somewhat by it, but I'll let Tim speak a little bit into what was the switch like to virtual sales for you, Tim?
Yeah, it was definitely something new. I mean, I think it was new to all of us, something we weren't maybe all used to, but I handled some Zoom calls. Some of them were just, phone calls where I would send email over the proposal. We'd go over it, call them. I did some proposals where we just sat outside of the customer's house, out in their yard, in their lawn. I did a few on some tailgates of some pickup trucks, it was just whatever the customer felt comfortable with, and whatever, mandates were going on at that time, we just adjusted accordingly. But it actually had, those months leading into the summer, it's actually, for me personally, had, probably saw some better results that I did in the previous year in the fall and winter.
It's interesting when, people are able to, and your solar company is not out of the ordinary. There are several solar companies that have seen like this uptick in sales because of people being home. They're seeing their electrical bills go up a little bit because they're home using electricity. And so with this though, when we purchased our solar system, one of the things that, I always encourage people when they come to me and ask me to recommend a solar company, I always tell them to do their research, because when you're making a purchase of this amount, you want to make sure that you have your information. But also each individual solar company, like yours included, are going to want to make sure that you get kind of the best proposal in to folks. But one of the things that's always a flag for me is when out-of-state companies come in to New Mexico and try and sign leases. And I saw that article about where you commented, and it's something that just chaps my hide to no end. So what are some of the challenges that you've seen as a local company having to deal with out-of-state, and I actually call them predatory, out-of-state solar companies who are coming in and trying to do this like quick turnaround car sales? We've got some really good car salesmen though, but the kind of stereotype of just shady business. How do you address those challenges?
So, and yeah, I'm glad you've seen that article. So definitely we've had our struggles. The biggest thing that the biggest harm is just the hit to the industry that we take when the out-of-state companies, and I don't disagree with that word predatory. Some of them can be very misleading, high pressure. And so when they come in and they overpromise, so solar's already, as I talked about earlier, it's an amazing product, right? It's not always the right time for people. And so we have a really low pressure, just show them the numbers. If it makes sense, it makes sense. Give them time to make the decision approach. And we're competing with some companies that are out there that are misleading, overpromise, and high pressure. And so the challenge there is, of course, we'll lose out on some sales. And the bigger challenge, and that's a challenge to us as a company and our employees, the bigger detriment there is to the industry, the consumer, and then the industry itself, because then when those consumers get into a lease, that's a bad deal. Or even some of our competitors that do ownership models is the better model for sure. Owning it versus leasing is the better model, 100%. But we have some competitors that are way overpriced. I mean, I would call it price gouging. And unfortunately, if someone doesn't get a second or third quote, and especially include a local company in there, they'll often overpay grossly on what they pay for solar. And so our biggest challenge is just trying to get in front of people before they do, right? Or at least at the same time, so that they can comparison shop and they can see the better product and better value that we provide. We almost always win on price. Our goal is not a race to the bottom to be the cheapest, but we have reasonable prices. And especially for the quality of products that we have. And so, it's our biggest challenge is get in front of people. And I would say keeping a good name for our industry overall. So,
right. And Tim, when you're talking with people, because, years ago, I had somebody text me at like 10 o'clock at night while I was in Washington, D.C. on public land stuff, asking me if I leased or owned my solar system. And I immediately texted, do not sign anything, because I knew exactly who they were talking to. And, and I understand leasing as an option, but it's really, if you can go ownership model and low financing, Tim, what do you recommend when you're talking to people on things that they should do, potential customers? What should they do when they're considering purchasing a system? Any system, not just yours, but any system. What should they do?
Yeah, well, I think kind of to go back a little bit to the out of state, I mean, what I've kind of seen too is they don't always know what our local rates are, whatever our El Paso Electric provides, different service rates for different, businesses. So I've seen one, on that aspect where it was customers totally misinformed just because that out of state, they didn't know, or they might not know what our state incentives are, for solar or any renewable energy. So it's really that, we're trying to be transparent with them. When I speak to them, I let them know that, and, trying to see what's the best solution for them, not just trying to sell them what it's really, just being, transparent, seeing what they want. What are they looking to get out of solar? Or, some businesses deal with demand charges, higher demand charges for their business versus maybe the business across the street from them. So it's not, trying to make sure that we're comparing, apples to apples, if we're going up against another company and show them that, just because maybe they were shown a lower proposal, what products did they use? We just try to educate them as much as we can and really work on a solution that's best for them, for their business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I strongly recommend it. I always also look at warranties, output of the panels, how long your business has been in place, and if you're going to be able to service my panels in 10 years if something happens. So,
Absolutely.
Doing your researches, and especially with something that is so important and can add to the value of your home, but also reduce your impact on the planet. So I'm really grateful that both of you have that as part of your value of your company, is to make sure that people are informed and that they get the system that is appropriate, not over their needs and anything like that. So I'm really, really grateful for that. Gentlemen, as we finish up, we're going to put all your contact information, but Tim Benavides is our local guy here in Las Cruces for the New Mexico Solar Group. Nick Kadlik is the CEO of New Mexico Solar Group. He's based out of Albuquerque and talking to us from his home right now. That is probably solar powered, I would imagine.
It is solar powered. It's my second solar powered home.
Yeah. And
So is mine.
And if you'd like more information about a solar system, always recommend do your homework, talk to multiple companies, get informed. And New Mexico Solar Group is one of those that you can reach out to because they're going to give you the information that you need and help educate you on something that is a really significant purchase. All their contact information is in the text below. And thank you, Nick and Tim, for joining us on this Zoom chat today. And I hope you have a fabulous Labor Day weekend and that you're safe and that you're enjoying all the benefits that we have of living in New Mexico and the sunshine as our meter continues to go backwards.
That's right.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. We're
Thank you,
really
guys.
glad to be a part of the Green Chamber. Thank you.
We're glad to have you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.